Welcome to the LZ Sports Show. I am your host, Mark Adam. I am joined by my usual partner in crime, Mr. Keith McKnight, all the way over from his home as we are socially distancing. I mentioned that at the start of every episode because people are still not getting the message. They're still doing crazy stuff, and anti-mask protests are still a thing, anti-curfew protests, basically, if the government says to do anything, there's a group of people who are just automatically, without thinking about the rationality, just going to say no. They're just absolute contrarians, and that's the nature of human beings. But please, I want to go to the pub with all my friends again. I do. Just wear a mask, suck it up, socially distance, stay safe. When this pandemic goes over, we can argue about who was right and wrong at the pub. Okay? All right? All right. So follow us on the social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Like and subscribe to our videos. It means a lot to us. If you want to have your say, you can by calling the WPG Sports Line and leaving a message, 431-800-4555, or you can email thelz@thewpg.ca. If you're more of a writer than a speaker, that's all good. And last night, the Jets were in action, so that's going to be our main focus for today. They were playing against the Senators in a rematch from Monday night's game, and things went a little bit better for the Jets. Not a ton better, and we'll get into all that when we come back after a word from our sponsor. We'll see you in a minute.
Make your house a better place to come home to with Aquatech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We've been delivering complete customer satisfaction for over 40 years. Whether it's a fully completed backyard escape, a completely renovated bathroom, or a premium upgrade on outdoor furniture, Aquatech is the only name you need to know. That's because if it's an Aquatech job, it's an Aquatech team working on it. No outsourcing, no subcontractors. We do it all. Visit our one-of-a-kind showroom today at 1065 Dugald Road. Aquatech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We create better places to come home to.
Thank you very much for joining us here in the LZ. And thank you again to our sponsor, Aquatech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We greatly appreciate you. Last night, the Jets narrowly avoided a back-to-back loss to the worst team in the division. Let's look at the stats real quick. What was your impression of that game last night based on these stats?
You could basically tell that the Ottawa Senators took them seriously. Once again, did not want to go 1-for-1 against this Winnipeg Jets team. Instead, they went. They wanted to win. You could see that because they played very, very tightly. That's the one thing I noticed that the Jets had to put up with. With this score of 3-2 and those shots of 35-29, very evenly matched there. And the face-off percentage again, the Jets were able to come out on the winning side and in the winning percentage for the face-off category there.
They often lose games when they win the face-off circle. So
yes, I remember you pointing that out, and that literally just clicked in my mind there, and I was like, pointing. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, you spread that in yesterday's episode. As you saw in the power play here, Mark, 1 for 5 for the Senators and 1 for 3 for the Jets. I mean, that's probably why the the Ottawa Senators weren't able to capitalize and come out on the winning side, because the Jets were able to hold their own on the penalty kill, and that's important, right? And then the minutes, they're not too much of a difference in the 36-32 hit total there. They both were playing a very physical game.
Yeah, and it speaking of the penalty kill and power plays, it was very much a battle of special teams last night, in that not only did they score on the power play with Perreault's goal, but Lewis's goal came short-handed. So it was really a matter of special teams taking over there. Only one goal for each side coming 5-on-5, and that would be Scheifele's goal, which was assisted by Ehlers in such a beautiful, beautiful way. By the way, that goal, I know that Scheifele gets credit for it, but honestly, that was all Ehlers. Like, he just absolutely controlled the zone, found Scheifele, hit him with a perfect pass. He just taps it in. That was all Ehlers' work. And then Scheifele gets the credit at the end. So I like to see them connecting like that. That was really good. I didn't like all of their play last night, but we'll get into that in a moment. Real quick, the next game the Jets have to play is tomorrow, and by tomorrow I mean today. So it's a back-to-back with for Ottawa last night, Toronto tonight, and the next game for the Senators is actually Saturday. So they get a couple of days off to rest and recoup, and then they have to go into Montreal. So Montreal just fighting for their lives on the face-off side, or on the playoff side of things. They're now 5-5-0 in their last 10. They're maintaining that that fourth spot. When I did this graphics up, sometimes I make mistakes. That happens, and if you watch this show, you've probably seen it more than once. But I will point out Calgary should be in the 5th spot there. I just forgot to flip them because Calgary won their game last night, which put their their points percentage over Vancouver's with a .477. So they're actually in 5th place, regardless of whether you look at it via points percentage or not. So Calgary making a push. They were 2-8-0, and in their last 2 games they've managed a couple of wins. So now they're sitting at 4-6-0. So they're actually on a 3-game winning streak. So this is good time for Calgary to make a push. They're only 4 points behind the Montreal Canadiens, and the unfortunate part there for Calgary is that they're actually 3 games in hand. Montreal has 3 games in hand. So if Montreal can do something with those 3 extra games, Calgary's in a lot of trouble. Calgary went out of their way last night to beat Montreal, so that was something they had to do to get to sort of at least make some ground up. So the 4-1 win in Montreal was something that they absolutely needed to get, and they got it. So we'll see how that plays out with Calgary for the rest of the season as the season goes on. Vancouver, we're going to see back in action on Saturday night, I believe. Was that not the case?
Yeah, we spoke with Neutral's. We spoke with Neutral's owner, and him being from the Vancouver area there, or the greater Vancouver area. Oh, I feel so cool saying that now. And he's mentioning that they had just released their return to play schedule for them. So I guess they'll follow their 2-week quarantine, and they'll be right back at it. The crazy part about them being in quarantine, I think it was you that mentioned, tell me if I'm wrong, they were exposed to the variant, not the first one.
It was confirmed that it was the variant, yeah.
That's scary.
It is, and I saw an interview with a couple of the Jets players there, and they look rough. I think TJ Miller was the one guy I saw the most, but he sounded like he just didn't feel right. You could just, you're hearing a guy talking, you're like, something's up with that guy.
Yeah.
That's how it felt. So I'm wondering how they're going to look when they actually do hit the ice, because they haven't been able to skate. Their conditioning is going to suck. Remember that the coronavirus is a respiratory illness, so their lungs are they going to be there? Are they going to be able to skate in the third period at all?
Exactly.
So I really think that a lot of teams that have games against them right after they come back in action here, those teams are going to need to take advantage hard.
Very good. Oh, yes. Get right on them.
Yeah, and Neutral's owner, when we had him on, was even pointing out they should sit, because I think the first thing they play is Edmonton. Sorry. So he was suggesting that Edmonton sits Draisaitl and McDavid and all their stars, and just to be safe. And that's a scary thought to me, to have to wonder about who you put in your lineup so they don't get infected. That should never, ever be a worry.
No, not at all. Not one bit. Who's going to make that club playing roster list? Exactly.
Yeah, and as of last night, there were still 7 Canucks on COVID protocol. So they do think that they're going to have a full team come April 17th. So
this is where I'm telling you, the real life replacements are going to be in these league. Going to have a strike when these men are going to lock themselves out, and then guys like me are going to be suited up, ready to go.
Yeah, put Keith in. He's ready to play. Come on, coach.
I watch too much TV.
Yeah, too many movies, sir. Too many movies. But it was a crazy game. So all that went down. We showed you all the stats there. The 3-2 victory. I really think that Ehlers earned that goal that Scheifele got credit for, but that's how the stats work. So it is what it is. Garbage goals still count as goals. Tap-ins still count as goals. All the work can be done by one guy, and he gets the A instead of the G. It's just how it goes sometimes. But I thought
High school friend, high school teammate as well, Jonathan Bio. They always says they don't ask how, they ask how many. So you're right, they all count.
yeah. So, how about we look at this here? Who was your player that stood out for you last night?
Laurent Brossoit last night. He came in to a team that wanted to. Well, one, like, they wanted to win, so he was like, he couldn't let them down. And remember, there was that one game, I can't remember who it was against, it was not that long ago. They put him in, and it just looked like he didn't want to be there. And I was like, man, come on, like, you can't let the boys down like that. And last night it showed that he was really there for them. And, you know, okay, it was a 3-2 game, that's all right, but he kept the boys out of a tight situation. They came home with the 2 points.
Yeah. So,
Who's your guy?
well, for me, I'm tempted to say Ehlers, just for that insane assist, because I just thought that was such a great play. However, he had a lot of flaws in his game last night. He was giving pucks away. He was, he had a couple of really nice plays where, getting the puck out of the zone, sprawling and diving to smash the puck to make sure it gets out across the blue line to relieve some pressure. Like, he's a very smart player, but he's got to tighten up some of his passing. When he gets going, he gets a little excited. So I just can't say that he, for me, was the difference maker. And I'm going to go, if you look at the impact chart, I'm going to go a little bit farther down the list here. And okay. I'm actually going to say Logan Stanley. I know you actually picked him out last game, but I thought last night, the way he was playing, he was sliding and taking away opportunities on 2 and 3 on ones by sliding and getting his big, huge frame on the ice and blocking passes, and he was blocking shots. He's responsible last night. He was dependable. He cleaned up a lot of DeMello's mistakes, and we're going to get into that when we talk about folding Jamie Benn into the lineup.
Yeah.
But I feel like he was just so defensively responsible last night, and there were some opportunities he had to just sort of do little things, like he was dumping the puck in, but he fired the puck as hard as he could directly at Anton Forsberg. So, or Matt Murray. I'm sorry. So just shaking this, because he knows that Matt Murray hasn't played, I think, since March 10th or something like that. Hasn't he been out since March 10th with an injury or something? But the point is, he recognized that this goalie's cold. Let's just test him. So, like, from the red line, he just dumping the puck in. He just fired it right at Matt Murray. And little things like that, little smart things that he thinks of that, like, catch this guy off guard. He hasn't played in a month and a bit. So shoot the puck at him. See what happens if he's not expecting a absolute bomb from center ice, right? Like, I just really liked the decisions he made, and whenever he was in his own zone defending, he was just in the right spot. He's not a guy you can move. It's like trying to move a mountain when you're in front of the net. So he just made it really hard for the Ottawa Senators forwards. I just thought he just played a great game. Honorable mention, I thought Harkins had a really good game too. Not enough ice time to really say, he had a huge impact on the game, but he had a couple of opportunities in the offensive zone, and he defended well. And I really think that he had a good game too. So honorable mention, Harkins. But the guy, if I have to pick one player, it's Logan Stanley from last night.
Okay, I'm with you. Yeah, he's playing very well. And like we said in our last show, that he's showing that he wants to stay in the NHL and stay on this team. And
so,
he's starting to look expensive, just like Kyle Connor.
yeah. Kyle Connor looking like he's going to be money in the future, and by that I mean you're going to have to spend money to keep him. And
$85 million contract, I'd give that kid for sure.
And what?
$85 million over 7 years, I'd give him for sure.
That's over $10 million a year.
Yeah, he's worth it. Kyle Connor is a superstar in this league. He's got the speed.
Yeah, he is. I don't think he's done enough to earn over 10 a year, but I think I'm okay with a $4 million a year contract for him right off the get for a couple of years, 3-4 years. Like, just allow him to sort of develop and make sure that he has something to prove still. You don't want to give him too big a contract or too long a contract, because he's I just think that that's how you ruin players. And we could go back and forth on that as a debate as well. If you have a thought on that, on contract length versus productivity, give us a call. Leave us a message, 431-800-4555, or email the LZ at thewpg.ca. By the way, you can also comment on the YouTube video directly, or on the wpg.ca if you're watching it there, or you can comment on the Reddit thread if you're in Reddit, or wherever you feel comfortable commenting. Send us your thoughts. But yeah, I think that's a good question. Where do you? Yeah. Let's stick with the game from last night. And then we'll get into all the what are we gonna do with this team. But they give up the first goal. Typical, right?
Typical, yeah.
Typical. They give up the first goal. They like playing with their backs against the wall. We've said it 1,000 times on the show. But then on top of that, last night, I felt that the Jets weren't really, especially in that second period, they just really weren't moving a lot. No. Right? Like there was slow. They had a couple of explosive moments, but overall, like, the play was lackluster, poor puck control. They gave the puck away a bunch. And then in the third period, everything changed. All of a sudden, they just woke up and they became the Jets again. But they were playing a team in the Sens that had nothing to lose. And, how hard is it to play against somebody who, like, they're already in the basement. They know they're not making the playoffs.
Yes.
They're out there to have fun and play for pride. So how hard is it? How much harder is it, do you think, to play against a team like that than a team that's got something to lose? Probably
just as hard, if not harder, because they showed that they didn't want to lose last night, right? And they still have nothing to. So it's just super weird how this team is going in, and that mentality of they just forget it. Like, they know that they're not going to be making the playoffs, but they don't want to tank, Yeah.
Yeah.
It's when they were, I won't ever forget it. It was when in 2002, 2003, when LeBron James was the biggest hype thing ever, and he was coming out of high school into the NBA. Somebody went to a Cleveland game and put a sign up that says "Lose it for LeBron," and that's where I was like, "Oh my God, they're actually going to do this and tank for him." And that's where I kind of was like, "You can't tank for a superstar. It's not a way to go out."
It looks really bad on an organization. Remember Indianapolis, the Colts, when yes. Peyton Manning was hurt, and it's suck for luck, and they played Curtis Painter all year, knowing he was probably the worst quarterback in the NFL, yes. Backups included. So they were playing him on purpose to lose every game to get Andrew Luck. I think, and because of things like that, that's how the draft lottery happened, right? That's why the teams
like that, teams couldn't tank anymore. Yes,
yeah, because a team that ends up in last doesn't necessarily get the first pick. They have the best odds of getting the first pick, but because it's all based on where you finish, your odds go up. So they have this computer program that calculates all the odds and figures out who's going to get what. But yeah, I hate that part of the game. But when you're playing with nothing to lose, you're just out there having fun, and so a goal that goes in doesn't bother you. You just turn around, whatever. Like, we're already in the basement. It literally can't get worse from here in this entire division. We are the worst team. We've got the worst record, but they've got a lot of talent, and I think and I heard. I think it was Bayak was saying last night that one of the coaches had said, one of the Ottawa coaches had said, as long as they're working, just keep them working. We yes. know we're not going to win anything. We know, look at the squad we have. It's a bunch of guys, I think, whose average age doesn't come anywhere near 25 or something like that. But they just work hard. And as long as they're working hard and doing what they need to do, it's the next couple of years coming up that Ottawa is going to look good again if they maintain this course of action. But when you're playing out there and you're going to lose, who cares? Just go out, have fun, try some stuff, But the Jets don't have that opportunity. They're in second place. They are fighting off a very hungry Edmonton team who has a game in hand on them, and they're only 3 points back. So
yes, tonight. Sorry, before I just want to get this out. That means you got my wheels turning here about tonight's a really important game against Toronto here.
Yeah,
it's really important. If the Jets lose, that's a big deal. It's a very big deal.
Well, the Jets have the next 7 games that the Jets play 3 of them are against Toronto and 4 of them are against Edmonton.
Okay.
No. Yes. No, 4 of them are against Toronto. 3 of them are against Edmonton. Yeah. But Winnipeg has an 2-4-0 record against both squads this year. So that's not good. They need to improve that. That can't hold.
No, that's not able to hold at all.
So they've been like Winnipeg has gone out of their way to get all their wins against Calgary, Vancouver, and Ottawa, but the teams that are really problematic for them are the Oilers and the Leafs, and I think they're almost even with Montreal if I remember correctly, but I'll have to double check that stat. But the Leafs have their number. They got 4 games left. Of their next 7 games, 4 of them are against the Leafs tonight. Obviously, the back-to-back, and then they're going to be back home for a big stretch. So
that's right.
It's going to be all those games are going to happen at home, other than tonight. So 6 of the next 7 at home is going to be a good thing, but they're against teams that we have like the Winnipeg Jets do not have a good record against. It's going to be a rough go.
I know. I'm kind of worried now. I'm really pondering tonight's game.
But finishing up with last night's game, one thing I noticed about that Ottawa arena that was a big advantage to the Ottawa Senators was how bad the ice was.
Huh, and they know their spots.
Well, yeah, the ice was choppy and the puck was bouncing and skipping over sticks and just always bouncing and on edge, and just the quality of the actual ice itself was really, really poor, and that was evident in how, like, because generally if the ice is slick, that's a huge advantage to the Jets over the Senators because of the crisp passing that they generally have and all that stuff. But last night, the bouncing pucks and on the pucks that rolling on edge because of how choppy the ice was a big problem for the Jets, and much less of a problem for. I mean, just look at Brady Tkachuk ended up with an opportunity because a puck was bouncing around, so it left the zone, and then the Jets defenseman couldn't get a handle on the puck because the puck was doing a weird bounce and stuff. And so eventually the puck sort of bounces and ends up on Tkachuk's stick, and he gets an opportunity. Of course, Brossoit absolutely robbed him. So kudos on picking a solid player from last night in Brossoit. But yeah, I just thought that that was something that was a huge factor in the game that shouldn't be a factor in the game. It shouldn't matter what arena you play in. That ice needs to be at a certain quality. And I really thought last night that the ice in Ottawa was, and I apologize to the ice crew there, but that was an unacceptable amount of poor ice and choppy ice. And they got to do something to fix that because that
there at TV timeouts and stuff, how they have here at Bell MTS Place. Maybe that would those little things probably help a lot.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they have that sort of thing, but just the heat in the arena or something, or it wasn't cold. The ice wasn't cold enough, or I'm not sure. But they got to sort that out. That it's unacceptable at that level to see that poor. It'd be like seeing an NBA game and like none of the boards fit quite together.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, exactly.
It's an opportunity for somebody to get hurt if they catch an edge or whatever. You could twist an ankle or break an ankle if you get caught in any of those ruts that were out there. And I mean, luckily that didn't happen, but there was a lot of opportunity for that. So, yeah, I also want to point out Lewis scored last night a shorthanded goal. He has 3 goals on the year, and that's his second shorthanded of the year.
That's experience right there.
It's also only the Jets' second shorty of the season, of which Lewis has both. So there you go. So moving on, real quick, Wheeler, his injury update, I can't find it anywhere. I searched all over the place. All the news is about a week ago when he didn't go on the road trip. So whether he's going to play Saturday or not, all of that controversy and whether Wheeler will play will start immediately following the game tonight and or first thing tomorrow morning. Is Wheeler going to play? Is Wheeler going to play? That's all the media is going to be talking about starting tomorrow. But for tonight, we just got to take on a Leaf squad knowing full well that Wheeler will not be there. So That's
Opportunity to step up, fill his role, show what they're made of, and let's get these 2 points tonight. This is a big playoff atmosphere game.
yeah, absolutely. And in last night's game, Connor Brown managed an assist, but he didn't score a goal, which actually snaps an 8-game goal streak for the guy. Imagine having an 8-game goal streak, just tearing it up, and your team is the worst in the division. You're not even gonna. There's not even a thought about making the playoffs at this point. That's got to be rough. Poor Connor Brown.
I know.
But I mean, he's a player. They got some talent in that room, and when I say that they're the worst team in the division, I mean they're the worst team in the division. They have a lot of talented individuals, and they're going to get their stuff together soon. But this year is not the year.
No, it's not the year. But
And listen, don't hold your breath for next year.
okay.
Just as a warning to Sens fans out there, bide your time. You got a lot of young talent. In a couple of years, you'll be back in the game, but you're going to have to suck up some big losses until then.
Not happy they fired Guy Boucher. That was not ever a problem.
Well, what are you going to do? Like, somebody's got to take the heat, and when the media is on top of you, you got to do something. And Ottawa has always been this weird anomaly of a team. You know, they played entire playoff series without getting paid. And you remember when Danny Alfredson was there? He's like, "We promise we're going to win the cup," and it just, dude,
Yeah, you did for 20 years.
it's everything about that organization. It says little brother syndrome. Like they just want to be noticed, you know. So they're doing what they can. They got to rebuild. And right now, speaking of little brothers, they're just full of very young guys with very little experience. So they're going to be good if you give them enough time, but they're not there yet. So just don't panic in Ottawa, but don't expect anything for a couple of seasons. Is all I'm saying. Leave it at that. So Toronto tonight, big game, as you said. Big questions now within the division here. So we talked about Vancouver. Are they going to be able to play? What are they going to look like? Are they basically going to become the new point machine where you just walk up, you don't even have to put a quarter in it, it just gives you a gumballs? You know, I feel like that's what the Vancouver Canucks are going to be for the first couple of games at least, trying to figure out if they have their legs underneath them or not, and make sure that their systems still work. And they were already an are they going to make the playoffs team before they were absolutely ravaged by this virus. So things are really up in the air in the division at the moment. But obviously solidly in first, second, third, we have Toronto, Winnipeg, Edmonton. And those are the teams that Winnipeg has to battle out for the remainder of the season. Fun fact, Toronto and Edmonton don't have to see each other again this season. I think they're done. I think they've played all their games against one another. So they don't have an opportunity to sort of settle anything before the end of the season. So it's up to the Jets to bridge that gap themselves. And I want to see that. Off-ice story that's really fun. Did you see that commercial last night? Were you watching the game on the TSN feed? There was that Caesar Day commercial that had starred Mark Scheifele.
Oh, superstar Scheifele, here we are.
Yeah, so he was talking, but he was getting interviewed, and because it's a Caesar Day thing, so they're talking about how spicy is your Caesar, but they asked him, "What's this?" Because he's a well-known devout Christian fella that does not swear. He just doesn't swear. He thinks it would disappoint his mom. He's one of those very traditional nice guys. So they asked him, "What's the spiciest thing you've ever said on the ice?" Because it can get heated out on the ice. I don't care how devout a Christian you are or how nice a person you are. You take an elbow in the teeth, you got words to say. You just do. And it's so funny because they asked him, what's the spiciest thing you've ever said on the ice? And he said, I think I said "you suck" to a ref one time. And I was like, wow. Wow, that's adorable.
Just a straight, that's it.
I just thought, how cute. You suck. That's the worst thing you've ever said. Come on. Yeah. But it's...
We got the Leafs tonight, and I don't know, I'm eager for it. I'm pumped. I might wear a suit for the game, and I'm not even playing.
Yeah, just suit up and watch from home, eh?
Yeah, literally. Like, honestly, God, this is how serious this is. I feel very invested. Might
It's a
have to
big
pull
deal.
and like work out during the game. I don't know. This is serious.
Yeah, and it's a big deal for the Jets. Like I said, they've got all that coming up. Was there anything else about last night's game that sort of didn't sit right with you, or because they just fell off? Except until they reached the third period, the Jets just didn't feel like they were in it.
Not really. I think they were just trying to move on from that loss that they had walked into the night before, and they just really wanted to put it behind them. And I just think that they were just too focused on winning. I don't even think that like they even knew what was going on either. They were just like, we gotta win. We just gotta win. We just gotta win.
So, all right. Well, they were lucky, I think, that they were playing a team like Ottawa that didn't capitalize on some of the mistakes they were making through the first and second periods. So they got really lucky there, and they got the Jets were helped out by a couple of great defensive maneuvers by Mr. Logan Stanley, and like I said, there were some efforts made by other players, and the fourth line I thought played really well. I can't say enough about how much talent there is on the team, but they definitely, I feel like they treated Ottawa like it was a gimme. I just do.
No, it's just what they and then it's like gonna be like a point night. Some of those guys thought for sure.
Yeah, they were just like automatic points. Let's just go get them, and then we'll worry about Toronto. Well, never worry about the team you're playing tomorrow if you got a game today. Never. If you got a game today, there's a team you need to focus on. This is the NHL. They may not be the best team in the division. They're the worst team in the division, actually. But the point is that they are still in the NHL. They are NHL caliber players. Any one of those guys will make you pay for mistakes. Did you see that goal that Paul scored? That was a beauty.
Yeah, no, I did not.
No, the first goal that Ottawa got.
Okay, yeah.
Absolute beauty, right? Loved it. Not as a Winnipeg fan, but as a fan of hockey, I thought that was a beautiful goal, but it came off of carelessness from the Jets. And that you just can't allow that sort of stuff to happen. You just can't. Norris's goal on the power play there, beauty. Absolute ripper of a shot. That one time, what are you going to do? It is what it is. But that was an absolute beauty goal, I thought. The Jets they just can't underestimate teams like that. And the wins that Ottawa has this year all come on nights where the teams that were playing them decided this is a freebie. You just can't think that in the NHL, even with a team that has been performing as poorly as Ottawa. So let's hope that is the end of that. Looking forward on the Jets schedule, let's see. We in May. Yeah, we have Ottawa one more time. That's May 8th, which was supposed to be the last game of the season, but then now we have the 10th and 11th. We have to play Vancouver, a couple of makeup games from earlier on. I lied. We play Ottawa two more times. Once more in Ottawa on the 3rd of May, and at home here in Winnipeg on the 8th of May. So there's we got Calgary once more, Vancouver twice. We have Edmonton 3 times, and including tonight's game, Toronto 4 times. Montreal once, and that's it. Like, we've got one more game against the Habs, and that's going to be the end of that. So a lot of pressure on tonight's game, being the one that they play in Toronto. All of the rest of the games that they're going to play against the Oilers and the Leafs are going to be at home. So big advantage there for Winnipeg if you believe in that home ice advantage thing this year with no fans in the stands. I do think it is a factor. You've said it. You thought it was a factor.
I think the players love playing in an empty arena. I think they love it secretly, and they don't know how to admit it.
And see, I wouldn't. The more people in the stands when I was playing, the better. I don't know. It lights a fire under me. It gets me going, especially when they're on your side. But even like, I'm one of those people that I get charged by boos. Like, when they're booing us, it means that we've affected them. Like, we're in their fans' heads, and they're not even on the ice. So I don't know. I love fans in the stands when I play, and I imagine there's a lot of players like me in the NHL where that's sort of their driving factor. And but I'm sure that you're onto something there. There might be some players who really prefer the more quiet. Like I can hear my line mate yelling now. I can, you know what I mean? Like I can focus a little better. But they better not get used to it, because when we can go back to seeing games, you better believe that arena is going to be full. Anyway, that's it for all the subjects that I know about as far as last night's game. Let's talk about Jamie Benn. How do you fold him into the lineup?
You said take out Chase DeMello.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty much simple as that.
I really think it is that simple.
So, yeah, we'll leave it right there.
But I do you think that they're going to do that, or are they going to pull Logan Stanley? Is Logan Stanley going to sit for Jamie Benn? I'll be upset.
I'll be upset too.
I think most of the Jets fans out there will be very upset.
Yes, how that goes.
And I'm not just talking about the Redditors that Neutral Zoner said had a crush on Stanley, but I'm talking about like actual fans of the game. He's playing amazing hockey, and I think pulling him would be a mistake. I would hate to see Neil Pionk sit for Jamie Benn. I would hate to see Forbort sit for a Jamie Benn. You know they're not going to sit Morrissey. Absolutely not. And, I mean, what are your other options, right?
Yeah, what are?
I just can't see them sitting any of those guys. They just I would be so upset if they sat any of them. Poolman, you could argue to me, I'm sure I could accept Poolman sitting for Jamie Benn, but I think it's a wrong move. I think Poolman is a much more effective defenseman and a much smarter decision maker than DeMello. I think Dylan DeMello needs to play better. I just do. And he hasn't been. Of the 6 defensemen we've been going with lately, he has over and over again been a cause of stress for the Jets. And I even mentioned last night, I really felt that Stanley could have done a lot more on the offensive side of the puck had he not been busy bailing his partner out of a lot of issues at the other end of the ice. So if you're going to sit someone, I just think it has to be DeMello. It has to be. But I'm one guy and a big nobody really when it comes to the organization. So I don't know. I just don't see it going down that way. I have this fear they're going to sit Stanley. How do you think that the fans are going to react? Are they going to accept it eventually, or if they sit Stanley, or will they just riot?
They won't riot. They'll accept it, and then he'll get upset, and then he's going to talk to his agent, and then he's going to get exposed in the Seattle draft, and he's going to be gone.
I mean, if you sit a guy like Logan Stanley, I mean, you may as well just sign his ticket to Seattle now.
Yeah, like send him off. Like, no, why would you do that? So
yeah.
He's been on their radar for a long time. It'd be an insult to the kid. And yeah, no, he's working too hard to show that he wants to be there. So we'll see how that goes.
They have to protect him. Speaking of which, I'm not ready to really go into it yet. It's after the season's over that the whole thing goes down, but we're getting into crunch time about who do the Jets protect? Who do the Jets expose? And who do we expect to lose in the expansion draft with the Seattle Kraken? So that is something coming up that we're going to have to think about. Give us your thoughts. Again, we want to hear. Call the WPG Sports Line, 431-800-4555, or email the LZ at thewpg.ca. Either way, we would greatly appreciate hearing from you. We want to know what your thoughts are. So let us know. We're here to talk about sports. We're not pros. We're just fans of the game, guys. That's what it is. So, was there anything else you wanted to get in before we call it a day, Mr. McKnight?
No, I think we touched mostly on it. I knew that you really wanted to talk about the Ben trade because we didn't really talk about much about, what we're going to do with him coming into the team. So I'm really glad you got to talk to the viewers about that. And I know you were very keen on, like, what are we going to do with this guy? And then even yesterday when you said, oh, my God, DeMello's mistakes. And I was like, well, there you go. This is where, they have to pay attention here who they're going to have to sit to bring this guy in. And you know what? Like Logan Stanley's not making those mistakes. He's making up for them, like you said.
Yeah, he's being a force of change for the good, and I really think that that's important. So
we'll see how he fares out tonight, though.
yeah, exactly. All that said, do follow us on all the social medias: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Like and subscribe. We greatly appreciate that. That goes a long way for us. So, pardon me there. Yes, I'm very important now. For myself, Mark Adam, and my partner in crime here, Mr. Keith McKnight, thank you so much for joining us in the LZ Sports Show. We'll see you next time in the LZ.